Money allows you to do the things that you actually love doing, whether that's having more freedom, which I think every entrepreneur gets into this crazy game of entrepreneurship for the freedom aspect. I think that's like the number one thing is like, I don't want anyone to tell me what to do, when to do it, or how to do it. That's ultimate freedom in my eyes. Money is going to be a byproduct of how you treat people, of how you think about yourself, your internal beliefs, what your daily habits are, your thought processes. Like that's where money comes from. Money doesn't come from overcoming an objection and getting somebody to say yes. When you have like this constrictive feeling around money, like I don't want it to leave. I got to save every penny. I got to be stingy. When you're more free with your money, you have more generosity. It just comes back to you. When you actually care about the prospect and care about the business more than anything else, that's when you are confident in being able to call someone on their bullshit of like, oh yeah, like I just need a sales guy. Like, maybe not. Maybe you need to be a better marketer, or maybe you need a better offer. Do you even genuinely love what you do, or this is your business model because you saw someone else have success with it? Being able to understand who do I like to work with, who likes to work with me, and what types of businesses are we actually good at getting results for? If it's not that, then it's no.
The second you get a taste of sales, you start to realize a bunch of other things, like the universe starts to conspire for you in that lens. When I was first getting into sales, it was a lot about like what the right thing to say was, how can you overcome these certain objections? And to an extent, like a lot of that stuff is still true, like overcoming certain objections, things. But I've just come to find that, especially once you graduate from just like a salesperson inside of somewhere to an entrepreneur who is like selling their own thing, it's really about becoming a valuable human. All right, cool. We gotta keep a little bit of a tight timeline because the boys gotta golf.
We do have to golf.
Let's go, man. Well, thank you, God, for letting us be here together. And thank you for taking some time, bro. I feel like in my life, I've gotten to the point where I'm very selective with the people that I let in my circle. I've always been a person that always wanted to like please people and get people to like me. But that like radically inverted over the last couple of years. And now I'm like almost super introverted to the point where like I don't have, I have a lot of relationships, but like few that I'm willing to go deep with. And the second that I met you, bro, like there's few people in my life that I was like, yo, this is my dude, man. We were like, we met each other at a dinner, and then like 2 days later we were golfing, did business together, and just been like, you know, you're someone that I talk to at least once a week, which is very rare in my life. That it has nothing to do with business. So I just appreciate you for just being such a good friend, man.
Yeah, the wife is like, Antonio again?
it's just the
she's
thing.
She's like, I need to talk to him. He knows he's a wife.
Yeah. No longer, man. You're mine. Especially like you're my only ginger friend. And
a lot of people can say that.
I didn't think they had souls, and you have more than a soul, my friend. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. Let's get a little serious. I want to go into a lot of things that I don't even know, because like you and I have unpacked a lot, but deep into some of like your history of prior to getting to business. Like share with me a little bit more about that story.
Yeah, I mean, definitely had some different routes that I was possibly going to go to in life, and somehow found my route of the entrepreneurial journey. But yeah, grew up a redheaded, soulless kid. Was definitely bullied as a kid, which was awesome. Looking back on it, I think we need to bring bullying back.
Wait, let's sit there for a second. Like, yeah. I know you're like partly kidding, but help me understand why it was awesome in retrospect.
You had to rely on personality, communication traits to make friends versus your appearance, right? Mm-hmm. So looking a little bit different, being a little pasty, red-haired kid, growing up, and you had to morph, right? You had to change, you had to alter yourself and understand how you're going to go through life, how you're going to make friends. So I think all of those traits that I was forced to learn because I looked different or I was treated differently has benefited me greatly in the arena of sales, communication, business.
Sure. Yeah. So how did that land? Fast forward, how does that landed you into like, you know, when people think about you in the business, you're the sales guy, right? Like you're the SDR whisperer, automated revenue, remote sales whisperer, right? What's all the bunch of sales shit. Yeah, right. How did that like tangibly? How has your experience growing up landed you to the world of sales, and how has it served you so well?
Yeah, so I got my sales gene from my dad. So my dad was an entrepreneur. He was a opposite of remote sales guy. He was a traveling salesperson he owned his territory from Maine to Florida. So he would travel 1 or 2 times a month. He was gone a lot. But the one thing that always stuck with me was my dad's ability to treat people like people, have communication skills, and like genuinely care about them. Because I would listen to my dad make calls because he would have to map out his trip. Like, who am I going to go see? Is it on the way? Before Google Maps, you had to use an actual map. Yep. And he had his big map in his office and all these like dots of all his clients. But every time he called, it was always like, how are you? How are the wife? How are the kids? Like personal things. I don't know, it stuck with me, and I was always looked up to my dad, and he was an entrepreneur. And then I went to college. There's no college degree for sales. So it's usually you go to college for something that you don't want to do anymore. Yep. I was a criminal justice major, obviously putting that to good use today. And I was like, Dad, like, what do I do? Like, I don't want to be a cop. I don't want to be a state trooper. I partied too hard. I probably can't even become a state trooper with a hair test. But he's like, yeah, like you should do sales. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I did door knocking, I did car sales, got into the B2B world in Manhattan. I was an SDR, cold caller, and been doing sales for a decade now. So
it's crazy. I always say it like college, the only way it prepared me for the world of like sales and entrepreneurship is like my experience of learning how to cheat and manipulate the system and still getting good grades was actually more valuable than learning fucking geology or learning the history of
teachers would see me
random
twice
shit.
a year.
Yeah.
Midterm and the final.
Yep. And you still get good grades, right?
Yeah.
So you were, from what I understand, you were in a frat. You were, I don't want to say going down a bad path, but you were like partying pretty hard. Seemed like God wasn't really at like the forefront of your mind at the time. And I know, I mean, given how much you and I talk, like pretty much all we talk about is how much we love God, how it's serving us in our business. Like, when did that click for you?
My wife, for sure, my wife. So I grew up in the church, got confirmed, was an altar boy, grew up Catholic.
Yep. Same here.
Grew up Catholic. Church on Sundays, Sunday best. You know, brunch, breakfast, lunch after church was a big part of family. The red haired will fool you. I grew up very Italian. So I was very much in church, and then obviously went to college, and it just wasn't a focal point of life. It wasn't like I was like intentionally like I'm not going to church, like I'm not practicing religion. It just wasn't the environment I was in.
Sure.
So you are a product of your environment, right? And partying, drugs, girls, sex, whatever it was in colleges, that's the college fraternity life. And then I was on the crossroads. I became single when I was like 24, 25. And I was like, sweet, got some money in my pocket. I'm in New York City. I'm about to go on a generational run. Yeah. downloaded the Tinders, the Hinges, the whatever I could get my hands on, dating apps, swiping everybody. And my wife was my third date back, and my last date ever. So God had different plans for me. She brought me closer to God, and for sure in his plan of like, oh, you're about to go down a very non-spiritual path, live in the flesh. I'm going to bring you back to me through my wife.
Amen. So, that's so good. Now, that sounds in theory beautiful, right? Which it is.
Yeah.
But when you're going down this path, right, there's a habit that you've created where like it's, you know, and I'm speaking, I guess, from my experience, sex addiction, porn addiction, all these types of things that like are ingrained into your head.
Yeah.
You meet your wife on the third date. How have you been able, like, did you immediately know, like, hey, this is the one, and now I immediately just, like, none of those habits exist anymore? How were you able to, like, what struggles did you face through that? Because it sounds like the ending of a beautiful movie, but also you got to live your life as well, you know?
Yeah. And I've been with my wife almost 8 years now.
Sure.
So it was a slow growing process. And I think she'll be the first one to tell you that you don't push it on someone. Right. Something that she's taught me is like, your job is to plant a seed, right? You plant the seed of God, and then God will water that seed. It's not your job to convert people to Christianity. You can't do that anyway. People will do what they want to do. So she was just leading by example, and I would see her practices. I'd see her prayer, how she talks to her dad, who used to be a pastor. And it just kind of like through osmosis, I just wanted to, like, I was just drawn to that. And I was like, well, she's doing all this. I'm not doing it with her. Like, I want to do more things with her. Like, she bought the Bible. I was like, I should buy the Bible. I should start reading it.
Sure.
And then it was like, hey, we should go start going to church. I was like, we should start going to church. And then it just kind of happened over time. It wasn't like this like stark thing. And obviously, as you know, the closer you get to God, the more that you're like, whoa, like I gotta stop doing a bunch of stuff. Like these are terrible things that I'm doing. They're sinful.
And what's crazy though, not to cut you off, but there's a fine line, because the further you get away from God, you can also realize like, whoa, there's a lot of shit that I'm doing that I shouldn't be doing as well. So like that awareness can exist in both of those dichotomies. Yeah. But the way that you cope with it is completely different the second you decide to accept God in your life, right? Because like that awareness for me when I wasn't fully accepting God was like, oh shit, I'm just going to keep doing it because eventually like I'll just submit to God at some point and I'll still go to heaven. Until you realize you're playing this much more complex, infinite game. But sorry to cut you off. Continue, please.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people treat God as like a superhero.
Yep.
Right? Like they call upon him when they need him. And they like have like wishes, like he's a magic
He's
genie.
the sword of Gryffindor.
Yeah, like oh, I haven't prayed in a while, but I'm on a plane right now. I should probably pray that I have a safe flight.
Yep.
Or like it's like very as you want it. And the more you get close to God, is like you're more of a servant than he's a servant to you, right? So it's learning to submit and be obedient, and like what comes along with that mentality definitely translates in like relationships, personal things, the gym, business, like understanding like all these things are outside of your control and you just have to be okay with it and roll with the punches.
Was there any one specific event you can think about that like changed your entire perspective, where it was almost like, I can't go back from here? Like now that I know this feeling or this information, everything kind of changes for me. Because the name of the show is called The Momentum Shift. So that's what I would consider the momentum shift in your life. And mine was pretty like very specific, one large event, which I'll share later. But was there any one for you? Or was it just like a bunch of things that kind of just piled up for you?
There was definitely more of a momentum shift in my overall life, which put me on the right path to be able to receive Christ.
Sure.
It was during COVID. I was a salesperson. I was a head of sales. And I closed a very large deal, $250,000 deal. The average deal for that business was like 10 grand.
That's crazy.
So like a very large deal.
Yeah.
It was during COVID. It was a smaller business. I do more than that business nowadays, which is funny. But he wouldn't pay me like a $40,000 commission. And I was just like so confused. I was like, I did more than what you asked of me. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm doing all these right things, but I'm still getting penalized for it. And I was just like, there's got to be a different way to go about life. Like, I'm tired of this.
Sure.
And then a good buddy of mine, Bill, was in a coaching program. I didn't know what a coaching program was at the time, or that was even an option, called Wake Up Wealthy. And they talk about mind, body, spirit, and business. Those are the 4 pillars of a man's life. And if you live not in accordance with one of those pillars, you're not happy, right? Spiritually, internally, you're just lost. You're kind of empty. So I really understood like what that meant to live in alignment with your mind, your body, your spirit, and your business. And that was kind of that momentum shift where it was like having habits. I see Atomic Habits over there. Living with discipline and consistency and tracking things and like being way more intentional with your time. Stop watching Netflix. Like the day doesn't end at 5 o'clock. Stop smoking weed, ordering delivery, and relaxing when your bank account isn't where you want it to be and your life isn't what it wanted to be, and you have a wife now or a future wife that you want to build a life for and you want to be a provider for, and it's like, get your shit together, bro. Like you got to do something here, and that was that definite shift that changed the trajectory of my life.
That's so good. That's so good. And knowing your wife, when you look at Mina, you could just tell she knows God. You know what I'm saying? There's like this overwhelming sense of like joy and peace that she brings around, where it's like, I'm just so blessed to like see her in your life as someone that loves you, of just like knowing that it's going to be tough to stray away, knowing that she's going to keep you on the straight and narrow of keeping your level of discipline. Cause it's as free flowing and joyful as people make the walk in faith sound to be. It's a fucking wrestle, at least from my experience. It's a beautiful wrestle,
part of it.
Right? So with that wrestle, you're in a world where I feel like a lot of people they find themselves in a faith journey throughout. Once you gain a level of success and wealth, because sales is arguably the best path, like one of the best exponential paths you can take to grow, money, sort of wealth. A lot of people don't come in with the intention of like, oh, this is how I'm going to find God, or even with God, because there's a lot of greed that gets in the way. Yeah. How have you been able to bring God and faith into your business while it not compromising the values, because there's so many moments where you can easily make more money by going against your core values, going against integrity, which a lot of people do. I want a lot of people that are listening to this that are likely at that crossroads where they can just, I always say, like, just run it up. Everyone's just run it up. Let's go make $1 million a month at 20. And if you don't, you're a loser. How can people still build a beautiful sales practice or business with integrity at the forefront of it?
I think it's just your intention.
Sure.
Right? Like, God wants you to be wealthy, right? And being closer to Myron Golden and his mastermind and his comparative, like, conservative belief around, most Christians believe that money is the root of all evil, right? But the whole verse is, for the love of money is the root of all evil, right? They don't say the whole thing. They only say the thing that actually promotes their own scarcity in wealth and abundance. So it's for the love of all money, right? That is definitely the root of all evil, right? Like you just said, like greed and only monetary or, worldly possessions. So once I understood that, like, God does want you to be wealthy and it's to glorify him, right? The more successful I am, the more I can speak on a platform like this and bring people to him, right? So all my successes is to glorify him. So understanding your intention around things, and then understanding that sales is servitude. The more that you serve people, the more that you find solutions, the more people you're going to be able to sell, right? People think sales is like this greedy thing, but it's really just the ultimate serving of somebody, like putting their needs above your needs is how you make the most sales, as you know. Running a successful business is about serving clients, not yourself.
Yeah. Now, I know this to be true, that I'm like, anyone that asks me is like, hey, like, I don't know what to do with my life. I don't I don't know where to go. A lot of people listen to this are probably just getting out of college. A lot of them, young males. My first thing is like, hey, dude, like, it might not be the thing that that is the end for you, but I would just get into sales and figure it out from there. Because, like, the second you get a taste of sales, you start to realize a bunch of other things. Like, the universe starts to conspire for you in that lens. Yep. What do you guys do for salespeople? Like, help me understand tactically what your business model looks like, because I know you guys are training a lot of salespeople, integrating a lot of sales into other people's systems. Like, what are you guys actually doing?
So we build sales teams and infrastructures for businesses, and to be able to do that successfully, we need to have a bench or talent pool of reps that know us, like us, trust us, and we know, like, and trust. Because we started to build sales teams, and then we're like, hey, we need salespeople, and then we do what most companies have to do, which is like go on LinkedIn and go through a bunch of resumes and like have that, like hamster wheel of hiring salespeople, because there's a lot of bad salespeople out there. There's a lot of good salespeople that get put in bad situations, right? Like, sales is about culture and understanding fit. So what we do is we train salespeople on the back end through the SDR Whisperer program. A lot of that is about mindset, right? Because when you're early on in sales, like, mindset is huge, right? You have your best month ever, and then you could have your worst month ever. And it's how you deal with those ebbs and flows in sales, because most people are commission only. So we help a lot in regards to the mindset shift that's required to be successful long-term in sales, like the hockey stick methodology, right? Everything compounds. And then on the flip side, we help businesses build those sales teams, those systems, and then we plug in the people that we know, like, and trust. And it's kind of a whole cohesive offer. Now,
when you're getting into sales, what are some of the major commonalities that you see with young, inexperienced salespeople? What do they have to rather learn or unlearn to get to that next level? Because there's like a quantum, in my opinion at least, there's like this quantum shift that takes place the second that you let go of certain beliefs and also accept new things into your life, where you can go from like you can create that hockey stick relatively quickly in the world of sales once you really dial it in. What are some of those tactical things?
Everything is your fault.
Sure.
Is a big thing.
Love that.
Right? Like, your results are a direct correlation to your actions and what you accept, right? Like, if you make $4,000 that month, you accept that, right? Due to your habits, your thoughts, and your belief systems, like, you're okay with that as the outcome. So it's understanding that it's not the leads are bad or the offer is bad. It's your attachment and you're willing to take ownership over you not doing everything that you can do, right? Because there's a lot of people who make millions of dollars in sales, and it's the same vehicle that you're in, right? They're just driving a Maserati, you're driving, a Civic, right? You got to learn how to upgrade yourself and then take full ownership and responsibility that you are the reason for all of your shortcomings. And the beautiful thing is once you accept that fate, then you begin to fix that. And then that's when you can start to see actual growth and results.
So good, man. And I feel like we've been starting to see a shift where when I was first getting into sales, and I'm not too deep into this career, maybe 6-7 years ago at this point, it was a lot about like what the right thing to say was, how can you overcome these certain objections? And to an extent, like a lot of that stuff is still true, like overcoming certain objections, things. But I've just come to find that, especially once you graduate from just like a salesperson inside of somewhere to an entrepreneur who is like selling their own thing, it's really about becoming a valuable human and just a normal ass human where like, in my experience personally, like I don't ever have to sell really anyone on anything because like people are just buying me long term, and you become a gravitational human. Like the way that you present yourself, there was a reason why I did business with you without even having to go deep into any of your funnels or learn about what you know. It's just like, yo, I just like this guy. I know I can golf with him. I know I can trust him around all my people, and I'd let him sleep on my couch whenever. Now you have a room to sleep in, by the way, but that's kind of like the barometer that I'm looking at for. And it's so much less about what you say. Because if it was about what you say, I would be pretty fucking bad at sales because I'm very rough around the edges. I'm a professionally unprofessional guy. Yeah. But we've made millions of dollars just speaking the truth. What's your thought process around that?
People buy from people they like.
Sure.
Like you just said, right? Like even if you have a superior product, better results, the person's it's about experience, right? How you make somebody feel is going to determine their buying decisions. And like, I'm not sure if you were trying to buy Zoom Info or something, but like Zoom Info is the creme de la creme of data, right? In the sales world, like, phone numbers, emails, things like that. And I was going with them and then a smaller competitor to them. And the salesperson at Zoom Info was just like, yeah, man, like this is the price. Like if you buy it or not buy it, like I got 6 other calls today. It was a direct quote. And I was like, well, that's not gonna make me feel good if I have a problem. Like that's like my experience was bad. Yeah. And then the other guy was like sending me videos, like doing actual work before getting paid, like all these types of things. And I was like, oh, this is a much better experience because the salesperson is the ambassador for the business in that, microcosm of time. You are that business, and how someone feels and the feeling that you give that person is ultimately going to determine how they feel about the entire company and enterprise, right? Yep. So as an entrepreneur, understand that everything that you do, everything that you say, everything that you like say yes or no to is a direct representation of your business. And if you're making decisions or saying yes to something that's against your beliefs, then your customers will be like, well, if he's saying yes to this and doing these types of things, he probably cuts corners here. So everything that you do, contributes to somebody saying yes to you. And just living life knowing that is going to help you so much as a business owner.
Yeah, dude, because it shows up in so many other places of your life as well. Yeah. Now, on the same topic, and you may agree or disagree with this, because it's kind of like you build sales teams for a living, right? So this might be against a anti-pitch against your stuff, but I'm a huge believer, something that I'm pretty outwardly expressive about is I think a lot of entrepreneurs try and delegate sales too quickly. Mm-hmm. When you own a business, it's like, hey, now that we're starting to do well, let me go hire a salesperson so that I could go focus on operations, which like, I believe that sales is probably the last thing that you should delegate. You should still find a way to delegate it at some point, but it's arguably the highest leverage activity that you can do as a founder for at least for the first couple years of your business, because it's the immediate ROI producing thing. So like for us,
unless you're not a salesperson,
fair. Unless you're not a salesperson, agreed. That being said, a lot of founders are, because like there's no one that is going to know their product or their service better than and they can also tweak their offer on the fly by getting data.
Sales?
I'm sorry?
Do you think marketing is sales?
I think marketing is sales. I think I think fulfillment is sales. Yeah. Like the way that we've run our business, we've done tens of millions of dollars and never run an ad. Yeah. It's simply just because we've just fulfilled. So like every conversation that you're having with your clients in a service-based business is an opportunity to sell them on why they continue to pay you.
Or tell other people to pay.
Exactly. So that's my biggest thing is like, the more I can focus on my fulfillment of my business, the more I don't even have to worry about the marketing, because that fulfillment is the marketing. Yeah. And it makes a quote unquote sale so frictionless, because I'm just like, yeah, this is what we do. And I can just borrow Dylan's credibility instead of having to recreate it.
Yeah. And I mean, I agree to you to an extent. I also agree that the only true thing that's like directly tied to time is sales, right? Like, a sales call is a 45-minute time block.
Oh, I say this as I'm like taking 12, 13 calls a day.
Yeah, like whether that person shows or not, you have mentally allocated those 45 minutes, and you all know as a salesperson, if someone doesn't show on the call, you're like, what do I do with this 45 minutes, right? So I believe, yes, you need to prove out your offer. You need to prove out a proof of concept, and you need to get tape, right? Recorded sales calls, recorded messages, whatever it is. And then you can then translate that information to another human being that can do something to 90%, 85% of your capacity. And you're going to now free up your time. I watched a Hormozy video, and he was talking about leverage. Sales call is one-to-one leverage, right? It's 45 minutes for 45 minutes, right? You can make one sale in 45 minutes. But with marketing, right? And we partner with marketers because we do sales, they do marketing. With marketing, you can literally, it's like 100,000 to 1 leverage point where you could make a podcast like this that can reach a mass audience that could then create a bunch of attention for your business and brand. But if you were to then fulfill on that attention, which is sales, your time is now directly tied to a specific anchor. Where if you can just focus on creating a bunch of attention and then train people to turn attention into customers, that's where you actually scale.
So good. That's real good. Smarter than what I was saying. Now, to that point where that's an incredible point. Yeah. But here's what we're, in my opinion, experiencing in the market today, which is where a lot of, especially the coaching world industry is like relatively like a bubble, because all of the people that have done that over the last 5 years have been wildly successful up until the point they didn't at least hire a team or something to focus on actually fulfilling those clients. Because now a lot of people have cut so many corners because marketing used to be so easy. Now it's a lot harder running ads and things like that, to where you're losing so much goodwill in the marketplace that it's not that people are business. It's not that business is getting any harder or less hard. It's always been fucking hard. But everyone's misinterpreted that business is easy just because it was like the cost of ads were cheaper, or like the market was more uneducated. But now consumers are getting more educated, where people are still at an all-time level of buying. They're just at a lowest level of trust.
Yeah.
So all of the good people, such as yourself, are getting all of that market share that a lot of people are losing right now because there's a ton of people going out of business. Mm-hmm. So it's less about the model and more about, are we actually acting as professionals inside the model, which is something I think you guys have done really well. And selfishly, I've been able to be on the front lines with you guys as an advisor for y'all, which I don't take that lightly at all. And I've seen the evolution of your business. Can we talk about that, the evolution of your business? Because you started in one area and then you realized so many other gaps in the marketplace. And it seems like you guys have really cracked the code on where you want to head. And we've seen some explosive growth. So
yeah, it's been an awesome year so far. It's really just listening to your customers, right? Like going back to like 101 sales of listening, actively listening to people, not just waiting for your turn to talk, which is where a lot of salespeople are like, yeah. Like if you were asking that question, I'm just sitting there like, can I talk again? So it's like just listening to your customers, and I'm taking hundreds of sales calls and I'm listening like, oh, do you do this? Or like, can you do this? And then like once you start fulfilling with a customer, then you understand like what their actual deficiencies were, not what they thought was the problem. So a lot of people solve the problem they think people want solved, but to actually get results and to help businesses is to truly understand the constraints and the needs. So understanding, am I confident in doing that? Because a lot of people are like, oh, this person needs help with a marketing funnel. I'm just going to sell them a marketing funnel. Mm-hmm. Because it's easy to find someone's problem and give them a solution. It's a whole nother problem to actually solve the problem, right?
Yep.
In the deliverables that you said you're going to do it. So looking at yourself in the mirror, like, are we good enough to do what we're about to bring to the market? Testing it out on current clients is always the best way of like launching a new offer, right? Like for you, if you're going to do something new, you have thousands of clients that you can like, oh, like we really like each other. Like we're testing this new thing. Like, can you take a chance on us? The price is different. I want to get results. So our business has evolved by just listening to customers and actually understanding what they really need to get results versus like kind of the surface level stuff.
Yeah. And that comes with a lot of tough conversations, right? Where like you want to be like everything in your being as a salesperson, from what I've experienced, is like travel towards comfort. Even the better you get at sales, you still feel it. You're just able to like diagnose it quicker and change your behavior on the call. But when you're experiencing something where a prospect or a client's telling you something, and you have an easy ability to get a sale or take an order, essentially, there's a lot of comfort in being able to just do that. But what I've come to find from the greatest salespeople is that the ones that are truly good at diagnosing push back.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, the best sale that you can make is the one you don't make. The person that you're willing to turn away. The people that I've turned away because I know that they don't need us right now. Maybe they need another person, or they're just not ready for this. They become some of our best referral sources. There's a mutual level of respect as opposed to just taking on every single person.
No one likes a yes man.
Yeah. And I've been a yes man for a very long time. And that's the thing. The thing that I want people to understand is like, you're likely going to be a yes man for a long time. It's just experience and good mentorship will eventually weed it out. And then whenever you want to like learn to go pro, which Stephen Pressfield talks about turning pro a lot, that's the next level. Cause you can be a yes man and still make probably even millions of dollars at this point.
Yeah.
But if you want to make true lasting impact on people's lives, which I don't know an industry better than being able to tangibly make an impact on people's lives like that, other than kind of like ministry, I guess, than sales. You got to be willing to go tough with prospects.
Yeah, I mean, if you actually love somebody, you have tough conversations with them.
Yep.
Right? Like, me and my wife's relationship is not where it is because we were just like, ooh, ooh, like lovey all the time, right? Like you're having like hard, real conversations. This is your life partner, right? So like when you actually care about the prospect and care about the business more than anything else, that's when you are confident in being able to call someone on their bullshit of like, oh yeah, like I just need a sales guy. Like, maybe not. Maybe you need to be a better marketer, or maybe you need a better offer, or like, do you even genuinely love what you do, or this is your business model because you saw someone else have success with it, right? And like being able to understand who do I like to work with, who likes to work with me, and what types of businesses are we actually good at getting results for. If it's not that, then it's no. It's I'll send you to someone else, right? Being a connector is massively important, right? I think that's probably one of your biggest strengths is connecting people based on like, oh, this guy's doing this thing that's cool and this guy's also cool. Like they should just meet. Like they're not going to do business together directly maybe, but they can help each other help other people. And like being able to be a matchmaker is like one of the most important things in business, because when you say no to somebody, you don't want to just kick them to the curb and not help them at all. You want to give them something that they can leave with. And then they're like, oh, Dylan just wants to help, right? Or this guy just wants to help me. Mm-hmm. I'm going to remember that experience and kind of interaction. And if it's time to send somebody that way, or the first time someone's like, oh, you need a sales team. Like, oh, I had a really good conversation with these guys over here. Like, you should just talk with them. They're not even customers.
Yep.
But yeah.
How have you been able to curate that skill? So like what you're saying makes a ton of sense, right? But in practice, to be able to like pretty much like automate that in your brain, a lot of experience and a lot of personal development that comes to mind. Like what have you had to, like walk me through like your journey of transforming as a human? Because this is where I struggled a lot was I could be radically good in sales conversations like that, pretty much doing exactly that, but I felt nothing for these people. And I'm just being straight up, dude. Like, we're gonna just call a spade. I'm not, I'm not like that anymore because I truly care about people. But I had the ability to pretty much like disassociate and be like, all right, I'm just gonna do this because this is my job and it makes me money, right?
Yeah.
That's gonna happen for a lot of people. But how have you been able to transform yourself as a human to really just like be personable with these people and genuinely pay it forward? And the beautiful thing about it is that you can make a lot of money still helping people. So
yeah. Myron Golden said a great thing that's always stuck with me is money is the physical representation of value creation, right? So every time that you have a dollar bill, it's just a physical representation that I help somebody else to a degree. And the more physical representations, dollar bills that you have just proves to other people that you've helped people, right? Like if you go to a restaurant and it's a $200 bill, that $200 is signifying to that restaurant that you're good enough to eat their food because you've helped other people,
sure,
right? Beyond yourself. So I think a big thing is like just changing your attachment to money. I think that kind of stops greed to a degree once you understand that money is completely fake.
Yep.
And it's just energy, and like the Happy Pocket Full of Money book.
So good. Oh my gosh, Bobby, if you're when you're editing this, put Happy Pocket Full of Money up on the screen somewhere. It's the the number one book that I'm going to probably talk about on this podcast a million times. You changed my life with that book, dude.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm glad, dude. And someone who changed my life told me that book.
Bro, I don't even travel without that book. You've seen, like, we've traveled together. Sometimes I won't even read the book, but it won't leave me when I'm traveling.
Yeah, it's like a token.
I gave it to a friend while we were on this like Asia trip, and I felt lost without it for like 5 days while we were like navigating Singapore and Asia. I was like, yo, I need my book back. I can't go without this. But sorry, I digress. Go on.
No, but it's just understanding that money's fake, right? So why are you so greedy about something that's not even real?
Sure.
Like, if you focus on other things, money is just a byproduct of those things. And once you truly understand the economics of making money and like the physical attachment to money alleviates itself, like I don't really care about money anymore. I don't care about it, and I will have the most I've ever had.
Yep.
And when I cared about it the most, I had the least of it I ever had.
Yeah, right. Like what you resist persists, right?
Yeah.
So if you perceive as not having money as a problem, it just becomes bigger, right? And it becomes your god. And what you said right there,
When you covet it.
yeah, and what you said right there, a lot of people are going to listen to it and be like, oh, what a douche. Fuck this guy. Like, you don't care about money. Like, I don't think that's what you're saying, right? But there's a diminishing return to how much money you need to make you happy and comfortable, right? So, like, for me, once I started making a certain amount of money, there was like, I started to realize, like, okay, this was wildly important to secure this amount of cash flow. There's no doubt about it. Because, like, if you're just struggling for money, it becomes the only thing you can think about because you literally can't do anything if you don't have it, right?
Correct.
In this economy, we live in America, right? So it's foolish and objectively stupid to think that money doesn't matter to an extent, right? But once you secure a certain amount of cash flow, especially God willing, we run businesses that have recurring revenue, so it's just like a cheat code, right? Yeah. Once you secure a certain amount of cash flow, like there's a diminishing return to how much you need, and it's more about what are the experience and the life that I want to create around this. Yeah. And then once you start to gain that feeling, and this is all mine experience, right? And from mentors that we paid, people that we've been around, books that we've read, that I believe this to be true is like once I start to align that with my values, then the only thing that would make this better is more money and more abundance, because this will be able to fill a lot of these areas of my life. Where can I serve? How can I build churches and charities and serve God more? Yeah. So I think what you said is like can sometimes be misconstrued because you hear it a lot all the time. But I just wanted to make sure that we were clarifying.
Yeah, and like, of course, money allows you to do the things that you actually love doing.
Yep.
Right? Like whether that's having more freedom, which I think every entrepreneur gets into this crazy game of entrepreneurship for the freedom aspect. I think that's like the number one thing is like, I don't want anyone to tell me what to do, when to do it, or how to do it. Like that's ultimate freedom in my eyes. Like you can do what you want, when you want, how you want to do it. But understanding like money is going to be a byproduct of how you treat people, of how you think about yourself, your internal beliefs, what your daily habits are, your thought processes. Like that's where money comes from. Money doesn't come from, overcoming an objection and getting somebody to say yes. Yep. That's temporary money. And I'm not sure if you've had this experience, but I've had this experience where you get an influx of cash and that money leaves faster than it's ever came in before because you don't know how to manage your money. Yep. And you don't know how to treat it correctly because it's energy, right? And money's flowing to people who are at high vibrations and high energy. And when you have like this constrictive feeling around money, like I don't want it to leave. I got to save every penny. I got to be stingy. When you're more free with your money, you have more generosity, you tithe. I know you're a big tither, which I love. It just comes back to you. I can't explain it. It's just beyond my understanding. It's
a river that flows in abundance, right? And it's like you had mentioned, it's energy, and you won't be able to stray far away from your level of self-worth around it for too long. Yeah. So like if you don't believe you're deserving of money, which is I think a bigger problem than the greed part, you won't be able to attain large amounts of it for long. It won't be sustainable. So that there's a lot of belief and self-confidence thing around that. That's good.
Because money doesn't make you. You make you. Money just amplifies you. Mm-hmm. So like if you're a bad person, you have a bunch of money, you're going to do bad things in large degrees, as we can see a lot of people do, right?
Sure.
And I think that misconstrued, like the media shows you like, oh, this business owner like embezzled money or like, had bad business practices and like, oh yeah, business is bad, money is bad.
Yep.
But like, if you have more money, you can do more things.
Dude, it's kind of like the Instagram post you just made. That post was so funny. The guy was like, "Oh, when the Starbucks barista tells you that, what was it? Something like it was the Starbucks barista tells you that to tax the rich more or something like that, right?"
Yeah.
That was I don't remember the whole premise of it, but it was like the guy basically talked about like how value creation is the reason why rich people make what they make. So it's like, yo, you wouldn't even be the barista at Starbucks if Starbucks wasn't a value creation engine. Yeah. So like same thing with like
the system on my iPhone.
Yeah, on the iPhone, if Apple or Steve Jobs wasn't a value creator, same thing
Wi-Fi.
with Wi-Fi, posting it on fucking Instagram where Mark Zuckerberg's now this evil person, right? So what a funny dichotomy, man. I digress. We could go.
I mean, the last thing I'll say to that is like, instead of putting like a Ukraine flag in your bio, like actually make a bunch of money so you can donate to Ukraine and actually serve them and actually do the thing versus just wanting to look like you're a savior and a saint.
Yeah.
Actually make money so you can donate money or do things or create a charity or a donation, like that's what actually helps people.
Sure.
Not you yelling or making a cardboard sign like actually just make money.
You and I have a field day with that shit, man. Wait, you didn't have a Ukraine flag in your bio?
No.
You're a piece of shit.
Crazy.
Pivoting a little bit, something that struck me as unique with you when I first met you.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, do you want to hang out? Or like we were talking about like hanging out on a Saturday or something. He's like, hey, just come golfing with me on Fridays. I was like, dude, I can't. I got work. You're like, yeah, I don't work on Fridays. I just golf. And not that you don't like work, but you golf on Fridays. That's your thing.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck you mean you golf? You don't work 5 days a week. You're not in front of your computer 5 days a week. When did you create that practice? Because like I'm like, it's something that's really helped me is just like, all right, I'm going to like, we're at the point in our business where like, I'm going to build this thing around the life that I want. Mm-hmm. So if I want to go golf on a Friday, I'm just going to do it. Mm-hmm. I sometimes disrespect my own calendar a lot with that stuff, but walk me through that, like that hard non-negotiable that you've created.
It just charges my own battery.
Sure.
I'm going to be a better person, husband, son, business owner, the more that I fill my own cup up. So a long period of my life, I was filling others' cups. Like if you literally look at a cup, right? Some water comes in, I'm immediately like, oh, this guy needs water, this guy needs water, this guy needs water, but I'm thirsty, right? I'm dehydrated. And I can't serve people at a high level for a long period of time if I'm constantly thirsty or dehydrated. Mm-hmm. So I've understood this about myself, that if I don't fill my cup up to the brim first, I can't pour into others. So I need to prioritize me, and that's going to help me prioritize others versus just being constantly burned out or like being a yes man constantly. And you're like, what am I doing this for? Like I'm working all this time and I don't do anything I like. Everyone else gets to do things they like because of me. I need to do some stuff that I like. And I mean, spending 4 hours on a Friday, if I can't do that, then what the hell am I doing?
Yeah, right. You built a prison.
Yeah, what am I doing?
To that.
Yeah.
Speaking of hydrated and thirsty, can someone fill up this water by any chance? That'd be super helpful.
Sandy,
look at us. We got the same
Sandy.
All good. See, this is the beauty about not having too much structure. It's all good. I'll get it filled up. This is going to be part of the podcast. Fuck it. We're just going to let it roll.
No, I'm good. I filled up.
But so this comes at a pretty unique time in my life because I'm in a season right now where like, bro, we've talked about this a lot. I'm going through serious burnout. Like it's like every day where I'm like burned out, recharge, next day burned out as shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, part of that is because we've experienced so much momentum in our business so quickly. Like we almost grew too quickly. And we're growing so fast still. And I love that momentum. It's something that I continue to crave. But when you're at, I don't claim for us to be a 9-figure business, but like when you're at the point of business momentum and you don't have the infrastructure to support it, the worst thing you could possibly do is try and continue to grow when you don't have an abundant team to continue to build it.
For sure.
But for me, this is something that I've battled with a lot where I'm just like disrespecting my calendar and like things like going golfing on a Friday. I'm just like almost resentful about myself because I've always built in that time to do that. And like, I'm sure like, I mean, I do a lot of travel. We do a lot of these things, but this has been something for me that has been a huge growth season for me of like, what am I really doing all this for if I can't like get out of this or go to the Rufus concert on time? Because I got calls up until the Rufus concert that we're going to next week. So I think a lot of people think that there's like a certain destination that they'll get to, when it's like, oh, when I get to this point, I'll always be able to golf on Fridays. Which is like, yeah, but there's also sacrifices that happen in seasons as well. And what's really helped me in this season is realizing that it's just a season, man. Yeah. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay to be
unless I just let it sustain. It's okay to what?
It's okay to be burned out. It means you're doing something. Right?
And yeah, I care. There's a lot, like I'm clearly working hard, but the burnout is a beautiful level of pain that it hits where you can rather make a couple decisions. You can rather just continue to burn out and complain, or you can, that pain can act as a way to create more leverage.
Correct.
Right.
You don't know something's a problem until you feel the problem.
Yep. Well said. Sadly, especially as men, dude, we're like, we have so many indicators of knowing things are problems, and we know things in our head. And when you hire mentors and you listen to all these people talk, but everyone has their own proverbial have to put their hand on the stove in some level of situation.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I was very bad at delegation. I probably am still not very good at delegation to this day, but understanding that, like, you can't expect Dylan in as an employee, because they don't own the business. It's not their love and passion. They're working in a business, right? And understanding that, like, oh, that's okay. Like I used to be like, oh, you're not answering like messages on Saturday night? Like, what's wrong with this person? This guy's lazy. And then like that, I just realized that's going to be, if I'm not understanding or I'm growing through that feeling, I'm never going to be able to hire. And if I do hire, people are like, this guy's like a psycho.
Yep.
Like, he's a slave driver. Like, I can't work here. And then you're just then it's even worse, because then you lose faith in delegation. So hiring for sure is number one. And I mean, to go against your point that sales, I mean, you're at a point where you can delegate sales, you know? And like, yeah, sure, they're not Antonio, but is Antonio even good if your company needs you?
Sure.
That's a big thing that someone told me. Like if you're like fulfilling an offer and you're telling them that they can't get the result unless it's directly tied to you, you're not very good at fulfilling.
It's well said. That's really good.
And I heard that, and I was like, damn. He goes, no one gives a shit about your 3 weekly coaching calls. Like, they actually care about you giving them the solution, and they can walk away from you with the solution to continue to go on. If you're like, oh, you need to stay in this program to continue to grow, like, you're not very good at helping people grow. You just like to feel like you are.
Yeah. And it's funny because like the dichotomy is that you can actually charge more if you get them the value in less time. If you can make them go on less calls and get the same result, they'll actually pay you more.
They'll pay you more.
Yeah. It's so good. But you just like, you hit a chord, and you know how to strike these chords that don't ever, you do it in such a way where like it empowers and inspires growth, not from a standpoint of like condemning. That for me, the way that you had walked through like the slave guy of like, because there's a lot of times I'm in that Slack on Saturday nights and things, and this has gotten a lot better, but you know, over the first couple of years, I was like, yo, if we don't answer our clients within an hour, they're going to fire us. They're going to hate us. I don't know what we're doing here. Yeah. And that transpired to our team, and it built up a lot of resent up until the point where like I pretty much put myself in a position where I don't really manage team because I have this like psychopathic way of running, which our clients have been very grateful for, but is also not sustainable for life. That's where Landon has been so amazing in our business. You've seen it. Landon has a really good job of creating this like hard boundary of where his like business and life sits. And I think you do a really good job of that as well. I think part of it where I've started to grow a lot, and is also just like understanding my journey with God. Mm-hmm. That's bringing God into the business has been huge for me, because when I wasn't always bringing God into the business, I'd always try and do it my way. And you'd always fucking hit your head against the wall. Just like, why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? Because like, whether you know it or not, you're going to do it God's way. It's just a matter of how long are you willing to hit your head against the wall until you give it to him, you know? I think you told me that. Like that was something that you had said, or something we had talked about.
Because we pray for clients, we pray for success. And I mean, I don't know God. Well, I do know God, but I don't know his intentions, right? Sure. He's the infinite source. But he gives you something that you think that you want to prove that it's not what you should have. And then it becomes painful, and it gives you those moments of like, nothing's working. Like I'm getting these clients, but they're all churning, or I'm getting these clients, I'm getting refunds, or I'm unable to do this, but I keep praying for it, I keep getting it. And if you don't view it of like, hey, dumbass, like maybe you shouldn't do it this way. Maybe there's a different way of doing it that is more aligned with your values, right? And you got to go through that a couple of times. Another one of mentors, Julian, he's like, life is the greatest teacher. It just keeps teaching you that lesson until you're willing to learn it. Yeah. And another one that he said was like, when you plant a seed, you can't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You just got to give it water and sunlight. And like maybe something's not working yet, but it's on its way to working if you continue to keep doing it with discipline and consistency.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing I learned in business is like, you're not going to be an overnight success, even though you see all these people that are overnight successes. They just don't document their unsuccesses. And if you just stick with something for long enough, you become good at it. You become confident at it. You understand what you like, what you don't like about it. And if you're just in market long enough, people begin to know you, like you, and trust you, and everything works out in the end.
That's why I think business has been, I mean, we started about this word, business is by no means easy at all, but you can take a shortcut by having like the shortcut is the unsexy thing that no one's willing to talk about is actually long obedience in the same direction. Yeah. So it's not really a shortcut because it's not going to condense so much time, but that's the shortcut to sustainable. Because like anyone can really show up and hit a quote unquote success in 1 year. But for me, it's staying power, which is why I think business has been able to be played on an easier mode once you obtain this level of mindset and commit to that, especially if you bring God into the fold, because the way that I see it is like, I want to be in this business 30, 40 years from now. And like, not just this one business that I'm in, but just in the world of entrepreneurship. Yeah. Because you meet so many great people and you can do so many awesome things. It's one of the best vehicles to impact lives on a large scale. And a lot of people are willing to sacrifice goodwill, integrity, morals for just securing cash flow on the front end. Yeah. But that cash flow won't be secured for long once people find this shit out.
I tweeted today, delayed gratification delays poverty. I wrote it in traffic today. But it was like, it's so true. It's like the more you say no to, the more you just like sit there and be obedient to like whatever is happening in business, you're just going to be better for it.
Yep.
Like it's like you said, staying power, right? Like, why are you going to go through all this work, all this effort just to like have a failed business?
Sure.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. And then kind of the way you said to like bring God into your business, it's not your business, right? You're just a steward of these clients, you're steward of this cash, steward of these marketing channels, podcasts. Like it's all not yours anyway.
Yep.
And it doesn't really matter.
It
doesn't really matter.
Yeah. It's all this fake game that we play in our heads.
Yeah.
And I say it all the time. Like I'm going to use the verbiage, especially as men, a lot, just because obviously I identify as a male. I know you identify as a male as well. We don't identify as females or furries or anything other than besides the two genders that exist. That being said, I don't even know what my thought was at this point. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I just want
to.
Yeah, I got excited that I hard launched that on the podcast, so people know where we stand here. but what you were talking about prior about God giving us opportunities inside of the business, like a lot of the times it's so funny because I know this and I'll still hit my head against the wall about it. It's like I pray to God for business growth or momentum. And it doesn't show up as just like, oh, here's more cash in your bank account. It shows up as a fucking hard opportunity to grow, right? Like it's like, hey God, I want to get, I want to grow or I want to obtain more peace. He doesn't just give you peace. He gives you the opportunity to become peaceful, which is going through shit.
It's giving you clients that bother you.
Sure.
It's giving you problems. And it's like, I mean, one for me is like, we've had a couple of clients that have not been the most technologically savvy.
Sure.
And I'm very technologically savvy. And it's like, I'm getting these questions and I'm just like, how do you not know this? Or like, how are you not Googling things before asking? Like it doesn't make any sense in my own brain. And then like when you take a step back and you're like, what is this teaching me? Like, what do I have to learn? Because I've had this multiple times in a row. When you have patterns, it's because you're not learning something, right? Especially negative patterns. So when I keep getting a negative pattern, I'm like having the awareness of like, all right, like what do I got to learn in this scenario so this stops happening? Oh, well, maybe you need a better training process, or like you can't expect people to know what you know as clients because they're paying you for what you know.
Sure.
So it's like, oh yeah, it's so fucking simple. Like, dumbass. Like, yeah, they're paying me because they don't know things and they're looking to me to help them learn it. And I'm a bad teacher of these things because it's so easy to me. So it's like, what are those negative patterns that you keep seeing in business? And then it's like, instead of asking for like, how those to get fixed, it's how do you fix you so that problem stops happening.
Such a beautiful journey of self-discovery. That's what I think
that's what business
pretty much
is.
all.
It
Yeah, that's
teaches you what you're capable of.
Yep. So good. Now, this same struggle and all these problems that we had, that we were just alluding to, I have to assume you also face this. You have a business partner, right?
Yeah.
And like as amazing as your business partner is, I love Jake, dude. He is
Same. Love Jake.
What a fucking golden human, man. What a great human.
I got lucky.
I have an incredible business partnership as well, but that does not make it easy at all. It's the same thing as a marriage. You're working on it every single day. And you and I have had a lot of conversations around this, but like, can you share what that experience has looked like? Like, what are some of the values? How have you guys been able to sustain it? All that type of stuff.
I think it's exactly what you just said, values, right? Like when you're choosing a business partner, don't choose them because of their business acumen. Like choose them because of how they are as a human being. Because like you said, your business partner is going to be the person you talk to the absolute most in your entire life. I live with my wife. I love my wife. I talk to Jake more than her, and I live with her, and I don't live with him. He lives halfway across the country in Colorado, right? So it's like when you're choosing a business partner, don't choose him because he's good at marketing or he's good at fulfillment or he's good at operations. Like that's cool, it's great, but choose him because he's a good person and you guys have the same values. Because when shit gets tough, you got to both be on the same page. You got to both have that staying power, because it's not, you can't have one person that believes in God and the other person that doesn't, right? Like you have to be evenly yoked, right? Which is the proper saying for that. So with Jake, I met him in that coaching program I mentioned, Wake Up Wealthy, where we both went on the journey of mind, body, spirit, and business. That's where we connected first. And we built a slow partnership, right? We didn't jump into bed with each other. We like referred each other a couple clients, and then we're like, hey, like you're a cool dude. Like you're nice to work with. We have good values. We both believe in God. We both have the same kind of belief system. We should maybe work together, because you like things that I hate and I like things that you hate. And I think that's the best partnerships, is when you don't overlap in things, because then you start to like have too many cooks in the kitchen.
It's like, why would you give 50% equity to someone that you just is the same thing as you? You could just hire that out for much cheaper.
Correct. So I think my journey with Jake is just like, we're both becoming men together. We're both becoming husbands together. We're both, owning real estate together. We're doing this journey together, and we just so happen to work together.
Yep.
So like we're friends first in my eyes, and then business partners kind of 1A, 1B.
Yeah. Now, as beautiful as it sounds, like we alluded, like we talked about in the last one, that doesn't mean that it's all rainbows and butterflies throughout, right? Because like no matter how good, it shouldn't be, right? Yeah. There's this, if you don't have healthy friction in your business partnership, you don't have a good business partnership. Because how are you growing, right? There needs to be
challenge you,
always, for sure. And Landon and I live in that more than most. You definitely see it. And it's beautiful and healthy, because at the end of the day, we've committed. We're like, hey,
there's respect.
There's respect, and it's always us against the problem. It sometimes might feel like us against, like me against him, and we're not breaking up. So we're just going to go find a solution. So we can say things that are don't have to be so eloquently said. We can just talk directly to each other. That being said, no matter how beautiful of a business partnership that you have, there's always going to be a point. And every single business partnership that I've ever met gets to this point, and a lot of people get through it, some don't, where, especially if you own things 50-50, one partner feels like there's doing more, and you're like, how can I split the cash flow evenly, knowing that I'm doing more, I'm bringing more value, all those types of things. Now, I know one of the solutions is making sure that you guys aren't focused on the same thing, so you're not like, quote unquote, competing with each other. Yeah. When you hit that point, because I'm not even going to ask you if you've hit that point, when you hit that point in your life, how'd you guys get through it?
Prayer. I don't know the answer. Like Lord, like, is this the right thing to do? Like, is this what you want? Is this the thing is this gonna be the right thing or the wrong thing? And I don't want to make a decision that goes against your will. So that's really what it was, because I was in my head overanalyzing stuff, and I was like, is this right? Should I do this? Should I hire someone cheaper? But then you look back and you're like, would I even have this problem if it wasn't for this business partner? Would I even be here? Like, who am I to make a decision on something that would be not in existence without this other person? And like, again, just prayer, obedience, surrender. I'm like, you know what? He's here for a reason. We've done this for so long for a reason. Yep. There's a reason behind it. And the question is my business going to get to the point where I want it to get to with the life that I want? Right? Because I could probably do both things, or learn to do both things. Is that what I want? I'm not golfing on Fridays without Jake. You know, like he's not doing what he's doing right now without me. So it's like, it's a partnership, right? Same thing with choosing a wife, right? Like, is this the person I want to go through life with? Is my life better and enhanced with this person's presence? or is it not? That question is to be answered.
Sure. Now, how are you listening to the Holy Spirit? Like, how does that show up in your life? A lot of people hear it. They hear it through other people. Like in your experience, how have you been able to attune and discern what is coming from God?
I don't know. I like to believe things, and I feel like the way that God talks to me specifically is by events happening, or like I'll ask for something sincerely and then something will happen. And then it's up to me to interpret that. But then whenever I ask for something, like something also shows itself. And I'm like, that's an indicator, right? That's a leading indicator positively or negatively, right? Like a good example is like when you're with a business partner and you both do things, right? So like, here's a scenario for you. Someone's like, hey, Antonio, like, I don't want to work with GFG Solutions. I just want to work with Antonio. I want you to mentor me for 5 months for 10 grand. Where are you putting that money?
I would never charge that little. Good. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, 50 grand. I love that answer, actually. But, all right, someone wants to mentor you for 50 grand. Are you putting that in your personal, or are you putting that in the business account?
That's a great question.
I've had that problem. Not problem, but I've had that moment that it arises itself and that like devil on your shoulder that's like, just put the money in your account. You're the one that's doing the fulfillment. And you're like, that seems like a pretty good idea. I don't got to split this 50-50. And then
I love your little manner. Like,
you have that, you have that devil, and it's like, just put it in your account. You're the only one fulfilling it. This person wants to work with you. But it's like, what if Jake did that? What if someone else did that? How would I feel?
Sure.
Right? Removing yourself. And it's like, so that scenario happened a while ago, and obviously put in the business bank account. And then immediately, like right after that, like Jake had a consulting partner that came in, and that went in the business account. I was like, I did the right thing.
Yeah.
Like I didn't get into greed. I didn't get into those fleshly desires, and I delayed it. And I'm like, we're both here doing this. I wouldn't even have this consulting client without this business. I don't even know I exist without what we built.
Sure.
So it's like those little moments, and then you pray on those things, and then you do the thing that you believe to be right. And then there's immediately a thing that pops up. You're like,
yeah. That's so good. And it's all energetic, right? There's no like one specific solution around it. And I used to hear a lot of things like you were saying, those types of answers. And if I wasn't playing in this game, I'd be like, oh yeah, great. That sounds great in theory. But I never experienced that until you experience it. And then you're like, it makes a lot of sense. Sometimes it's not even a feeling, because I was talking with a mentor about this. It's almost disrespectful to call it a feeling, because that's how powerful it is. It's so much more powerful when you feel God and Jesus inside of you. It's like almost minimizing it by calling it a feeling, but I don't even know the words to describe the feeling. Like that's the stuff that comes inside, right? But selfishly, to your point, this is why I created this podcast, because every single thing that we do business-wise, me and Landon are pretty much business partners around. I needed a lane where I can be in my zone of creative genius without having that partnership.
Yeah.
And so like, for me, that's how I've been able to combat it, realizing like, hey, we're married for life in some of our core businesses, but that doesn't mean that we have to just do every single business together. This is something where I told him, I said, hey bro, I need a place where, one, you can never feel like you've ever disappointed me. Because I know there's a lot of times where I've made you feel that way, which is a detriment to me. This is something I've had to grow through. And two, this is something that if you're ever in town, which he's in town a lot now because we live together, you're more than welcome to be on, because I would only consider you a value add. And you don't got to prepare for anything. You just show up, and you're one of the best looking guys I know, so you'll make us more viral anyway if your face is on here anyway.
Me.
And you too. Yeah. But he's just an incredible human. But that's kind of why I created this as well, is like, I needed somewhere in my life that I can just go deep into the creative, that's more infinite, that's less about business, more about how can we talk about serving God, and not from the standpoint of, hey, I got this all figured out. Because what I want the audience to feel in this when I'm interviewing people is, how can they get closer to Christ or get closer to an integrity-based or purpose-based mission through what I don't know, through what I'm learning as someone that's interviewing people that are where I want to be, or that I aspire to, or that have a level of wisdom that I don't.
For sure.
So that's the standpoint I want to come from. Not, hey, you should be doing this. It's, hey, how can I be better? And yeah, I didn't really have a question there. I just wanted to.
I feel like that Hard Knocks guy who like interviews like random successful people on the streets. Like,
Yeah.
like I watched him for a while.
He crushes it.
He crushes it now, but that's for sure due to all the wisdom and knowledge that he's getting on all those interviews and those connections that he's making. So it's like, I'm a firm believer that you don't know where you're going at any given time, and you just gotta walk that path long enough to figure out what destination is like on that path per se. And I think that's the same with entrepreneurship. Like a lot of people fall in love with the business model, and like you just gotta fall in love with the game of business and not the business, right? Because like if everything burned down, God forbid, right? I think it'd be fine, right? I think it'd be fine. I could just do something different, right? Maybe do something even that's more aligned with who I am, right? Maybe this podcast blows up. Hope it does.
It will. Yeah. We're claiming that.
It will, yeah.
If God wants it to.
It is His will, yeah. But it's like you never know what you're doing. You just do it. And you just do it to the best of your ability for as long as you can do it, discipline and consistency. And like, I think for a podcast, it's people, it's like a show, right? Myron taught me that. It's like every single Tuesday and Thursday, you know that Myron's going live, and Tuesday it's business and Thursday it's Bible, and people tune in, and you're somebody that people can rely on for that content, right? So with a podcast like this, like you choose like Wednesday at 3:00, whatever it is, every Wednesday at 3:00, you got to show up.
Yep.
And the more you show up, the more people are like, oh, this guy shows up. He's consistent.
Yeah. It's a level of accountability that I can keep as well. It keeps me straight and narrow too. That's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
That's real good stuff. I had a thought in my head that I can't remember now. No.
Lost it.
It was a good one.
Yeah.
It was a good one too.
I'm in the golf course.
Yeah, we got to golf soon. Now, if you're talking to somebody just getting out of college, stuck in their life, someone like me that like I had no idea what the fuck I was going to do with my life after college, what do they need to hear today to get them out of their funk, get them unstuck, get them into a sense of momentum?
Is the decisions that you make every day for yourself or for the acceptance of others? Good book, Courage to Be Disliked. I'm not sure if you've read that one. Really, really good book. And it talks about like living life on your own terms. And most people's decisions is because somebody told them to do it, or they wanted to hold the perception that they have it all together, right? You want to buy a house, you want to get married, you want to have kids. But it's like, that's great. I believe in that 100%. But is that what you want? Right? And if you're in a funk, it's probably because you're living life on other people's terms, or to satisfy your parents or satisfy your friends. Or, I mean, a lot of people drink and do drugs and do all that stuff because it's what they seem to be cool, or their boys would like it. Does it give you fulfillment, or are you doing it for others? Mm-hmm. So I feel like if you're in a funk, just like take a step back, be like, what am I doing? Am I doing this because I want to do it? Am I doing it because someone said I should be doing it? And I think that's going to give you a lot of clarity and perspective in what you should be doing. And then once you kind of stop giving a fuck about other people and you just focus on you and be like ruthlessly selfish with your time, with your habits, with what you consume, you'll start to understand what you want to do.
Sure. Have you ever hit that point where it's like your look in the mirror moment? I have a very vivid one.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear yours. What was your look in the mirror moment where you're like, dude, what the fuck am I doing?
It was that same moment. It was just like, what the fuck am I doing?
Sure.
like I'm good at sales. I'm making okay money. But I'm not happy. Like, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. Like, I have a beautiful girlfriend. Like, I have great friends. My family's healthy. They love me. But I don't feel good all the time, right? I'm constantly looking for outlets. I'm smoking weed. I'm playing a bunch of video games. I'm like watching all these shows. I'm going out every weekend and drinking. Like there's got to be more to this thing. Like, there's more to this life. And then like you just have to make that decision. And again, I'll keep quoting Myron Goley. He's an amazing man. But a decision is to sever. Like the root word in Greek is like to sever, which means you have to say no to something and say yes to something else. And a lot of people just like don't make decisions, they make choices. And a choice you can go back on, right? Like I decided to be here because I'm not somewhere else, right?
Yep.
But if you make a choice, you can kind of go back on your word. So it's like, what am I choosing and what am I deciding to do every single day? And then that means you have to say no to something. to then say yes to something else.
I think a lot of times people struggle making decisions over choices because you're scared of what's on the other side of that decision. This is why it took me so long to actually make the decision to change. I made a bunch of choices to change, but I went back on it a lot. But when I finally made that decision to change, you're like, yo, there's no going back here. You jumped.
Yeah.
You jumped. That's why the worst place to live, in my opinion, is on the edge. Mm-hmm. Back off of it or jump. Living right teetering on the edge is the worst because you're just sitting there wondering what could be, like what if. You might as well just go retreat back and you'll probably live like a more numb life, which is not what I'm encouraging people to do. But just constantly living in the same cycle of like, oh, should I do this or should I not? It's like, dude, who cares? Just go and then God will tell you. Just fucking do it, man. And that's like, we've all been there. Like that. I'm not saying I've never been there before.
Your life is made up of decisions, not choices.
Yeah.
Right. Like when you decide to, like I've had a couple big decisions, right? Like I decided to say no to everyone else and say yes to my now wife, right? Like there was other women that I was talking to, and like, I mean, she can tell you this. Like as soon as I met her, I texted every woman that would ever text me. Like I found someone. I didn't even know my last name really, probably, but I had the feeling, and I was like, I'll be damned if like we're in bed or on the couch and my phone lights up and it's like Christina Tinder. Like she's gonna look at that and be like, this is not the man I thought it was.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna have that mess up my possible marriage, right? So you have to say no to things, and a lot of people are like, hey, I like this girl. I also like other girls. Like they choose this girl. They don't decide on this girl. And then like I lived in New Jersey for 20 years and I got tired of the taxes. I got tired of the liberalism, the blueness, and the weather. And I was like, we're gonna move to Florida. You're just gonna decide, right? You can't choose to live in Florida. And you just decide and you pack all your shit up and you just move across the country. You leave all your friends and your family. And now I'm in amazing rooms like this and started a business. And like all those things happened because I made a decision, right?
Yep.
I quit my job to start entrepreneurship, going from 6-figure salary to 0-figure salary. You make that decision and then everything else subsequently follows that decision because you just make it.
Yeah.
And you don't look back.
And that's the funny thing about life, right? Especially in the microcosm of entrepreneurship is like, you make a decision, which is great, but that decision could also not work out, right? Especially like the immediate decision to go to entrepreneurship. You are working for extended periods of time.
That's all you do.
With the hopes of it actually working. Yeah. Business could be so grueling where you can work for a year straight, put in all the hours you possibly want, and not just make zero money, but actually make negative money and lose money, right? And for most people, it actually ends up being that way. Yeah. So don't take it as like a decision just automatically changes your problem, but indecision is much worse. Because what I've come to find is that the more decisions I can make, the more God and the universe rewards me for actually taking action. And it's not really the decision that ends up giving me the result. It's the decision. The actual making of that decision opens up a ton more doors on the back end that I didn't even think were possible at the end of the day. So I really love the way you put that.
Yeah, when you say no to things, you say yes to other things.
Yep.
Right? Like business models, right? Like Hormozy, again, the woman in the red dress, right? Like, oh, you should start a SaaS, or you should learn no coding or do drop shipping. Like I could do those things, but is that what I actually want to do? Yep. When I have something else I'm focused on? A lot of people split their focus, and that's why they fail in business, because they're trying to just do cold email, and they're trying to do funnels and ads. And then they're also like running a coaching business. And it's like, you can't be good at all those things all at once. You got to be good at something, and then you move on to the next thing. But a lot of people don't stick through those losing money, $1,000 months in the Stripe account. You're like, what the fuck am I doing, man? You just keep your head at the grindstone and then just embrace the grind of it.
That's what's I always coach my clients this way and a lot of younger people that I wouldn't say I mentor, but I'm always having conversations around is the number one challenge that you're going to face right now is not lack of opportunity. It's going to be too much opportunity. Yeah. So many shiny objects that come in the form of opportunities. It's not just shiny objects that are like material things. It's really opportunities. And the people that get rewarded are the people that are willing to go deep, a mile deep into the specific subject and becoming a subject matter expert in places where you're known for things. And what I always thought was like, I was reluctant to do that initially because I thought I'd get pigeonholed into that one person. It doesn't work that way. Like people that are playing the game at a high level, like, yeah, you went real vertical and you become known for something, which just ends up being a good thing for branding. But then eventually you could just like grow your brand, right? Like you can also diversify.
Yeah,
but
you just do things.
Yeah, you can do things. You can also make choices along the way that are not bad either. Yeah. But the decisions are the ones that are more tactical. And that's something that I had to learn a lot of the hard way, because I would make a lot of choices in my life, but I would refuse to make decisions.
Yeah. They're scary because you got to say no to something.
Yeah. I grew a lot in this podcast just learning that one thing. So I'm serious. That's a very small nuance that helps for sure. So I love you, bro.
Love you too.
I love you. I know we got to make a tea time right now. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, we do got to make a tea time.
Any specific things that you want to leave our audience with?
No, I think it's like everything we said in this podcast, I think is valuable. But as it make sure it's valuable to you.
Sure.
Like, stop following just random advice on the internet so much. It's easy to watch something like this and be like, yeah, this is sick, dude. Like, it's awesome. Mm-hmm. Like, what the fuck are you gonna do about it?
Yep.
You know, like, I feel like a lot of people watch content and podcasts and they like get this false sense of like, yeah, like I'm doing the right things, but it's like actually do the things so you can be on a podcast or run a podcast down the road. So don't just let this be another piece of content that just feels good to listen to and you don't actually take advice on it.
And if I, looking directly at the audience right now, if I long-term get this podcast to a point where you feel more pumped up and motivated than you feel transformed, I'm failing you. So I need to hear that feedback in the comments to understand, because like that's not the goal, is to like rah inspire. Like you can't motivate your way to success, but we want to transform people. And the reason why I try and leverage platforms like this is because it's changed my life so much, where it's not just motivated me. And there's times where motivation's significantly powerful. It's a good tool at times, but it's just a tool. Transformation is completely different. Like I want to...
Transformation is a decision.
Yeah. That's so good. Yeah.
But you have to decide to transform. You can't just transform.
Yeah. The process of becoming is finding out who you're not, right? Eliminating who you're not.
That's a good one.
So a lot of times it's that addition through subtraction, which is a decision to start subtracting. So maybe we make the name of this thing just Make a Fucking Decision. That's the that's the new title. Dylan, I'm like, I know I tell you this. I think there's like it's you and I trade weeks once a week of just writing each other a small little paragraph, letting each other know how grateful we are of each other.
100%.
But I want to publicly let everyone know how much I love you, bro. And like truly blessed that we're doing life together, and this is just the beginning of our relationship. We've known each other for like a year, maybe like a little bit over a year at this point. And I literally was telling my friend that like you're in my literally like my inner circle of people that I love and trust, and you know we talk once a week. You know that's not that high volume, but like you know as you're playing this game, exactly. So
we don't have to talk to somebody for a year. We love
just
them,
so blessed to be involved in your life, and
likewise, brother.
Love you, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. There we go.
All right.